Survive after the fall. Increased awareness occurs before preparation. What disasters are you prepared for? Earthquakes, solar flares, wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunami, hazardous material release, winter storm, acts of terrorism, epidemic, pandemic, nuclear power plant meltdown, economic meltdown. If you are not prepared for your relevant disaster, why not? Ignorance is bliss. Read carefully through the previous slide. People that have gone through the same disasters thought the same thing you are right now. That wouldn't happen to me. Wrong. Just a little prior planning in some cases would have saved life and limb of not only themselves but the ones they cherished the most. We created this presentation after doing hundreds of hours of research to prepare ourselves. We do this so that like-minded individuals who choose to live will. Ignorance is bliss. We realized how ignorant we were about preparations as we prepared ourselves. The more we learned, the more we realized we didn't know. We have done hundreds of hours of research and brought together experts in many fields and learned even more in the process of compiling this presentation. Count on there being no places to get supplies but your own closet when there is a disaster. There is only about 3 or 4 days worth of supplies for the United States at any given time. What is in the stores and back stock? What is in the trucks being transported? What is in the ports? And what is on your pantry shelf? Inconvenience versus reality. Think back to a time when the power went out during a thunderstorm. How long was it out? A couple of hours? A day or two at the very most. Every time you walked into a room at night, you tried to turn on a light only to feel foolish. How about having to eat all the ice cream because it was going to melt and you had to keep the refrigerator door shut to keep the cold in? How many things in your house depend on electricity? What if your power went off for a year or more? Would you know what to do? Keys to survival. These images will be placed throughout this presentation to symbolize the need for each one in case of disaster. Water, food, electricity, heat, ready bag, first aid, self-defense, radiation hazardous material protection, vegetable fruit, emergency radio, transportation, fuel, tools, livestock, storage, hunting, fishing, tradable items. Keys to survival. You can be ready for anything, but not right away. It takes awareness, education, planning, time, and finances. Your first step is awareness. What are the potential disasters in your area and what is the likelihood of them occurring? The next step is education. We want to share our knowledge with you. We have collected experts in fields such as medicine, farming, national defense, sciences, outdoor living, and emergency management to bring you this presentation, so hopefully you are as prepared as can be. Dependence. Electricity is a relatively new invention, as it has only been widely utilized by the population for the past 100 years. In many parts of the world, electricity is still a rare luxury. Only a couple of generations have gone past since we have become so dependent on it and infantile without it. Electricity runs everything from the computer you are using right now to our national defense network. Electricity is just one thing we take for granted. Where will you get food if stores have none? How long will the food in your cupboard last? If you could not depend on your city water or your pump does not work, how will you get water? If you didn't have electricity, how will you stay warm in the winter? Do you know how to hunt and fish? What would you be willing to do if you were literally starving? What do you think an inherently violent person would do? The previous questions are answered throughout this presentation and the members-only version. As we go through each disaster, please think about what you would do if everything you take for granted was gone, including water, food, electricity, heat, transportation, money. Earthquakes and aftershocks. More interplate and intraplate faults exist in the United States than many people know about. An interplate fault is where two plates meet. An example would be the Pacific Plate meeting the continental United States. The two biggest fault zones in the United States are on the west coast and in the middle of the country on the New Madrid Fault.